We're here to share the story.
I want to ask you a question. And I want every politician, every police officer, every governor, minister, influencer, journalist, and even the United Nations to hear me clearly. If 18 children were slaughtered in their sleep in the United States, would you stay silent? If 18 babies were dragged from their beds and gunned down in the UK, would the world scroll past it like just another headline? Because on April 14, 2025, in a small peaceful village called Bassa in Plateau State, Nigeria, 18 children were murdered, 51 people were butchered, and the world barely blinked. No candlelight vigil, no emergency address to the nation, no roundtable by the African Union, just another blood-soaked sunrise over a land that's gotten used to bearing its own future. They were sleeping. Menche Stephen, just 7 years old. Noah Stephen, 4. Margaret Maurice, 6. Jerry Moses, 7. James, 10. Jacob, only 3. Shot, burned, erased. For what crime? For being born in a country that treats its children like collateral damage in war nobody is trying to stop. This is not war. This is genocide. This is child-targeted terrorism. And it has been happening for decades in Nigeria. Plateau is not the first, and tragically, it won't be the last. Until we stop pretending that statements, tweets, and political visits to mass graves are enough. And yes, I said it. This is on you, the Nigerian government, the Plateau State politicians, you, the Nigerian police force, you, the local commissioners, ministers, governors, and elites who have done nothing but issue press releases soaked in lies and excuses. How do armed Fulani militias move freely through villages in 2025, burn down homes, slaughter children, and vanish while there is a military base 15 minutes away? Why were community warnings ignored? Why were hundreds of survivors left to bury their own with bare hands? While you slept peacefully behind bulletproof windows and DSS escorts. And let me speak directly to the international community. UNICEF, UNHCR, the African Union, the United Nations, Human Rights Watch, Amnesty International. Where are your outrage? Field emergency sessions for Nigeria's murdered children. Where are your travel sanctions, your special envoys, your resolutions? Or do African children simply not qualify for your global humanity? We at the Onaolapo.org refuse to let this be normal. We refuse to whisper when children are being silenced forever. Our mission is simple. If a child is hurt, especially in Africa, we speak. If a child is killed, we scream. And if a system allows it to continue, we tear that system apart with the truth. Because this isn't new. Since Nigeria's creation, children have always paid the highest price for the greed, cowardice, and corruption of adults. We've seen the Chibok girls kidnapped in 2014, most never returned. The Dapchi abductions, where government negotiated with terrorists and left one Christian girl behind. Hundreds of school children kidnapped in Katsina, Zamfara, Niger. Children used as human shields by Boko Haram. Babies sexually abused in IDP camps. Child beggars trafficked and forced into slavery in northern Nigeria. Almajiri children beaten in the streets while politicians send their kids abroad to study in peace and security. So today, I am not just here to cry. I am here to rage. I am here to say enough. Enough of the silence. Enough of the denial. Enough of treating child murders like ethnic conflicts or elder-farmer clashes. Say it for what it is. Premeditated child killings. state-enabled terrorism, and systemic mass murders by neglect. The Plateau Massacre of April 14, 2025 will not be forgotten. We will say their names. We will tell the stories. We will expose every leader who let it happen. Because silence is violence and memory is resistance. And to every family mourning, we see you. To every child watching this, afraid, we speak for you. To every leader hiding behind press releases, we're coming for your conscience. With the truth, with the evidence, with the eyes of the world watching. Now, to take this deeper, I want to welcome my co-host. He is not just my father. He is a survivor of Nigeria's own broken childhood system. He grew up in Ebuto Meta, Lagos, Nigeria. He carried heavy loads as a child. He saw friends die on the streets. And today, he fights like a lion for every child's right to live, to dream, to be safe. Please welcome my dad, co-founder of the Onaolapo Show and the Onaolapo.org, Noah Onaolapo.
Thank you, Heavenly God, for welcoming me to the show. I can see that you are putting on a black to mourn the departed young souls. And I pray that this is going to be the last time we will be debating, talking, analyzing this type of issue in our dear country. It is sad. Yes. I feel like crying the day I watch the videos of those young, promising, brilliant children, as young as 5 years old. Thank you once again for welcoming me.
Dad.
Yeah.
Before the sun even rose, 51 lives were stolen.
Yeah.
18 of them were children.
Yeah.
Still curled up in their beds. I kept asking myself,
yeah,
what kind of evil enters a home and shoots a child asleep under their mother's arms? Dad.
Yeah.
You always say every child matters.
Yeah, definitely.
But 18 children were murdered in their sleep. How does a father like you even begin to process that kind of loss? And what does it say about our country, Nigeria?
Heavenly God, my daughter, your question pierces my heart like a dagger. How does a father process the loss of 18 children murdered in their sleep? The truth is that I can't. And no parent should even ever have to. These were not just numbers. They were dreams, laughter, and future extinguished in the blinks of an eye. Heavenly God, in the early hours of April 14, 2025, the Bassa community in Plateau State was attacked. 51 lives were brutally taken. And among them, 18 innocent children. Menche Stephen, just 7 years old. Noah Stephen, 4. Margaret Moses, 6. Jerry Moses, 7. James Moses, 10. Jacob Moses, only 3. They were not just names. These were lives, futures, hope stolen from us. You see, my girl, yeah? This tragedy is not just an isolated incident. It's a symptom of a deeper systemic failure. A failure of leadership, of security, of humanity. The Plateau State has been a hotspot for such violence, with over 1,300 people reported killed between 2023 and 2024 alone. And you know what? The perpetrators, often identified as Fulani herdsmen, exploit the lack of effective security measures to carry out this heinous act every single year. What does this say about our country, Nigeria? It says that we have become desensitized to violence, especially when it affects the most vulnerable among us, which are children and women. It says that our leaders have failed to protect their citizens, prioritizing political gains over human lives. It says that the international community turns a blind eye when the victims are African children. President Tinubu, Where are you when these children were slaughtered? Your condemnation came late and lacked urgency. This crisis demand. Minister of Women Affairs, what action have you taken to protect our children? Inspector General of Police, where is the accountability for your office? Who failed to prevent these attacks? Because at the Onaolapo Show, we refuse to accept this as the norm. We will continue to speak out, to demand justice, to hold those in power accountable. Because every child matters. Their lives matters. And we will not rest until their voices are heard, their stories are told, and their killers brought to justice. This is not, this is not just a national tragedy. It's a national disgrace, and we must all take responsibility for allowing it to happen.
Dad,
Yeah.
your words are a call to action.
Exactly.
We must ensure that the voices of these children are heard.
Definitely.
And their lives are honored.
Yes.
Let's continue to speak out and demand justice for them.
Yeah.
But Dad, these weren't just numbers. These were kids who sang, danced, helped their siblings, and had dreams. When we say your names, when we cry out for justice, do you think Nigeria really listens, Dad? Or have we reached a point where children's lives don't matter anymore to our leaders?
Heavenly God, you just asked me the question that breaks my heart the most. And I want every Nigerian, every African leaders, every international observers to hear this loud and clear. No, Nigeria does not listen. And yes, I believe we've reached a point where our leaders have made it very clear that children's lives do not matter in Nigeria. Not the way they should, and not the way the Constitution claims. Not the way the United Nations demand, and not the way humanity demands. Let me say their names again, Heavenly God. Grace, Yohanna, Blessing, Musa, Samuel Bitrus, Mercy Danladi, Ruth Emmanuel. These were not numbers. These were not statistics on a news sticker. They were children, and Nigeria let them born in their bed. Why? Because for decades, Nigeria has built a system that is more loyal to political power than human life. We don't have leaders. We have dealers. Dealers who bargain with death to secure election. Dealers who collect condolence letters like business card but never lift a finger to stop the bloodshed. Dealers who see children not as future but as collateral damage. Heavenly God, Grace wanted to be a teacher. Peter walked 5 kilometers to school every day because he believed education could break the chains of poverty in his family. Joshua loved to play football and protected the younger ones from bullies. What did the government do to protect them? Nothing. They died in their beds while a military base sat 15 kilometers away. 15 effing kilometers. You can jog that distance under 2 hours. Heavenly God. Yet, when bullets rang out at dawn, when houses were light on fire, when screams filled the air, no soldier came. Nobody came. And what did our president say? What did the commander-in-chief, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, say? Enough is enough. Enough is enough. Empty words. He said the same thing last year. Former President Muhammadu Buhari said the same thing year before. President Jonathan before him said the same thing. Heavenly God, President Tinubu stood at a podium flanked by ministers who sleep with their eyes closed and conscience dead, and he read a script that had been used 172 times before. And still, no arrest, no trials, no justice. Let's be real. Let's strip away the decorum and the diplomatic tone. These children were not protected because the government didn't care. Maybe if these massacres happened in Banana Island, or in Asokoro in Abuja, or in the GRA of Lagos, there would have been drones in the sky army boots on the ground, and 24 hours media coverage. But because it happened in Bassa, in Zike, in a poor village in Plateau, these children were buried in mass graves while the world looked away. You see, my girl, this is one thing I want you to know. When poor children die in Nigeria, their screams are too soft to make it to Aso Rock. Their blood dries before it stains the Senate floor. Their names vanish unless people like you and I, my daughter, fight to etch them in the walls of our collective memory. And I'm tired. I'm tired of hearing we are investigating. I'm tired of press releases that don't come with arrest. I'm tired of the Fulani ass men being treated like ghosts, invisible when it's time to arrest them, invisible when they kill, and invulnerable to law. We say their names, but the people who should be saying those names, they are hiding behind tinted glass, flying first class to summit about African security, while children are slaughtered under their watch in their own country. We don't need more prayer breakfast. We need accountability in Nigeria. We don't need more peace building conference anywhere in the world. We need handcuffs and courtroom trials. And until the killers of those 18 children are named, arrested, and punished publicly, Nigeria has failed those children. And every day we remain silent, we become accessories to their murder. So to answer you, my girl, no, Nigeria doesn't listen. But that is why we speak loud. We speak with fire. We speak with sorrow. We speak with their names tattooed on our hearts. And if our leaders won't listen, then we will become the siren that wakes up the nation from its moral coma. Say their names every day until they thunder through the gates of Aso Rock and shake the foundation of the system that forgot what it means to be human. That is what we are going to continue doing.
Yes. Dad, I don't think anyone could have said it better. You're right. They weren't protected, and that hurts. But I also believe that maybe, just maybe, if we keep saying their names, if we keep telling their stories, the world will start to listen. Because if we stay quiet, then it's like they died twice. Once in the massacre.
Yes.
And again in silence.
Exactly.
But we won't let that happen.
No.
I won't.
Yes.
Grace, Blessing, Samuel, Ruth. I will keep saying your names.
Exactly.
Dad.
Yeah?
I read that one boy said he played dead next to his sister's body. A mother watched her children burn when they couldn't escape. Dad.
Yeah?
I couldn't sleep after reading those stories.
No.
And yet, I hear the governor say, this was just clashes between communities. How do you respond to people, especially Nigerian politicians, who say these attacks are just community clashes or farmer-herder disputes?
Heavenly good. When I hear a Nigerian governor reduce this horror, this deliberate massacre of children to mere community clashes, do you know how I feel? I feel like screaming. Community clashes? No! This was not a clash. This was a calculated slaughter. Let me break this down so the whole world and every politician in Nigeria can hear it without confusion. When you sneak into a village at night, surround it, touch homes and shoot people in their sleep, that is not clash.
Oh, no.
That is massacre. That is terrorism. See, a clash is when two groups, both armed and prepared to fight, meet in a confrontation. But what happened in Zike and Kimakpa on April 14, 2025 was not a confrontation. It was a cowardly ambush. Fathers were gunned down while holding their own children. Mothers were burned alive because they didn't run fast enough. Heavenly good. 18 children, as in 18, my God, were murdered in their homes. What kind of clash involves a 14-year-old boy hiding under a corpse, soaked in his own sister's blood, pretending to be dead just to survive. What kind of dispute ends with mass graves? Let me say this bluntly. Nigerian politicians call it a clash because they are too cowardly, too complicit, and too corrupt to call it what it really is. And by doing so, they sanitize evil. It's like saying the Holocaust was a disagreement. It's like calling the genocide a misunderstanding. They say it to dodge accountability. Because if they admit this was a targeted ethnic, religious, or politically motivated violence, then they would have to explain why no one has been arrested 1 month and over since it happened, why security was absent, and why this has happened 172 times before and still no action. They intentionally use soft language to cover up the hard truths. Senator Simon Lalong, Governor Caleb Mutfwang, Minister of Defense, Chief of Army Staff, President Tinubu, you all owe Nigerians the truth, not your carefully worded lies. Heavenly good, I grew up in Ebutemeta, Lagos. I saw real community clashes, boys fighting over stolen radios, families argue over land, fist fights, shouting matches, and sometimes, sadly, matches were involved. But what happened in Plateau State? That wasn't chaos. It was a coordinated and well-planned killings for years. Eyewitness said the attackers spoke in military language, moved from one house to house. They knew where the elders lived. The attackers even ignored livestock. You see? This wasn't a fight over cows. No cattle were stolen. No crops were touched. Only humans were targeted. This was not about land. It was about erasing communities. Heavenly God, it was about terrorizing poor villages so deeply that they would never return home. They burn houses so there is nothing to come back to. They kill children so there is no next generation. And then they call it a clash so the rest of Nigerian can scroll past the headlines and forget. But I won't forget. And if any Nigerian politician is watching this, hear me clearly. When you say community clashes, you are spitting on the graves of those children. You are telling mothers like Mata Yakubu, who watched her house burn with babies inside, that her pain is just a minor misunderstanding. Shame on you. Shame on every lawmakers in Nigeria who tweet condolences and go silent the next day. Shame on every commissioner who drives by displacement camps without stopping. And shame on every Nigerian who still believes the lie that this is just the way things are. No, this is not normal. And we must refuse to normalize it. See, Heavenly God, every time we soften the language around these killings, we pave the way for more blood to be spilled. Because when you call a murder a clash, you let the killers walk free. You want peace? Then start with the truth. Call it what it is. Name the killers, prosecute them, and stop insulting the dead with euphemisms. Nonsense. Absolutely rubbish from Nigerian politicians. It is just like they're spitting on the graves of those innocent children.
Dad.
Yeah?
You're right. When they say clash, it's like they're trying to erase the pain. But pain like this doesn't disappear. It stays with the mother who lost their children.
Exactly.
It stays with the kids who hid in silence, listening to their families die. It's not a clash, it's a crime. And until our leaders stop pretending more children will die while they write speeches and hold press conferences, I'm only 9.
Yeah.
But ever I know, telling the truth is the first step to fixing anything.
Yes.
But Dad, there is a military post just 15 minutes away.
Yeah.
But they didn't show up until the massacre was over. It's not the first time,
No.
and it won't be the last.
No.
At every time, it's the same excuses.
Yeah.
Dad, why do you think the Nigerian police and military repeatedly abandoned the people, especially the children who needed help the most?
I don't want to have BP. You just ask questions that makes my blood boil more, and I feel like shouting again. This is a question on the lips of every shocked parent in Nigeria. For decades, where were they? Where were the police? Where were the soldiers? Where were the people paid with our taxes, trained with our resources, who swore to protect lives and property, especially the lives of the children? Let me tell you why they didn't come, Heavenly God. Because they were never meant to come. You see, Nigeria's security forces are not designed to protect the people, most especially the poor people. If you are poor in Nigeria, don't expect protection from Nigerian forces, including the police and the military. Nigerian forces are built to protect the powerful. Full stop. That military post 15 minutes away is not there for the villagers. It's not there for people like Grace or Samuel or David. It's there to protect politicians when they visit. It's there to guard pipeline contracts. It's there to intimidate protesters, not to protect citizens. They knew because the community leaders had warned authorities for weeks. They reported strange movements. They told them armed men were gathering. Heavenly God, these people begged for help. And what did they get? Silence. No extra patrols. No early intervention. And on the day of the massacre, when the guns went off, when the fires light the sky, when the children were screaming, they waited until the killings was over. And by the time they showed up, there was nothing left but blood, ashes, and the silence. Now they will say, we responded as soon as we got the call. They will say, it was a communication failure. They will start blaming logistics. They will start to say, the roads were bad. They will start to say, the attackers had superior firepowers. Lies, excuses. Every single time. This is not new to us. It happened in Benue. It happened in Kaduna. It happened in Zamfara. It happened in Borno. And now, again, it happened in Plateau. Let me remind everyone listening. Over 1,300 people were killed in the first 3 months of 2024 in similar attacks. Hundreds of children have died across northern Nigeria. And yet, Nigerian government still pretend this is some kind of surprises every time. You know what I think? There's a quiet policy of neglect. They don't say it loud, but their actions speak it clearly. They have stylishly told every Nigerian that poor people can die. Nigerian children can be buried. Women can be raped as long as it doesn't threaten the oil wells, the contracts, the big men in Abuja. Then it's not an emergency. That's the truth. They protect money, not people. That is what Nigerian forces do. Look at what happened when there's a political rally. Full military presence, armored trucks, drones in the air. But when a child screams for help in a burning house in Plateau, nobody comes. The Nigerian police, those ones that are underfunded, untrained, underpaid, and full of corrupt elements. The military, stretched thin, yes, but also deeply compromised. There are stories of soldiers looking to other ways because there is a order from above, tying their hands, where commanders will say it's not their jurisdiction. Let me be very clear, Evan. This is not a capacity problem. It is not that we don't have enough soldiers or guns. This is a priority problem. We don't protect children in Nigeria because children are not meant to be priority. Not in the budget, not in the policy, not in the heart of those who rule. And until we tear down that sick system in Nigeria, we will keep burying children. My daughter, hear me now. I'm telling you this directly. We are done burying. We are done with empty promises from ministers who never stepped foot in a displacement camp. We are done with commissioners who drive past the burned villages without stopping. And we are done with government that shows up after the blood dries, take a photo and issue a press statement and then disappear. If the Nigerian government continues to abandon its people, especially its children, then the people must rise. not in violence, but in voice, in justice, and in action. If our children are not safe in their beds, then no one is safe anywhere, even in abroad as